Hey, in this lesson, we're getting to really play with what a dilation is, and we're going to come up with an understanding of what do we think a dilation is. And this is in Desmos, working with dilations. So let's go to our first slide, and all they do is give you a picture, and they're asking you to type in here, what do you notice about these two triangles? And they're asking what's the same and what's different. And so what I'd like you to do is go ahead and type some things in here for me. What do you notice is the same and what do you notice is different? And I'm going to jump in and give you some ideas, but then on your own, go ahead and write me your own things. And like we might notice that, yep, they're both triangles. That's the same. You might notice things like one is obtuse, that this angle here is bigger than 90 degrees. They both are in the first quadrant. Everything is positive. Notice how here's first quadrant, second, third, fourth. And you might notice that they have the same basic shape. There's lots of other things that are the same. Go ahead and make a list of things that you see the same. What about what's different? Well, obviously one is blue, one is red. You can write things like that the red one is larger. Maybe you could explain to me in what way it's larger. And then you might notice that the red one is further away from the origin. This is an important observation. See how this is close to the origin, this is further away. And it carries on along with something else I don't know that I would notice unless someone had showed me. Is this line going to go through the origin? Do those dots connect? And I didn't think they would, but they actually do. And will it work on the others, do you think? That's just kind of an important observation as we look at dilations. So go ahead and take some time and write some things in here for me. On this next slide is kind of fun because we get to play around with this slider here, and we get to drag the slider off to the right and off to the left, and we come into what do we notice is happening. So they've got this set at a k equals 2. We're not even going to talk about what that k means, but as I go further over, you're going to see the k jump to a 3, and if I slide all the way over, k is a 5. See how the numbers are getting bigger? And if I slide back the other direction, then I get to less than 1. And spend some time looking what is happening to that shape as the slider gets pulled over. Now I've gone ahead and done some pictures that are showing what this looks like at the different places, and we notice a couple things. One is that blue shape never changes. You notice that? The blue shape, that's our original image, as we're going to call it. It never changes. But what happens to this pink one as this slider goes over? We notice that the image is always growing bigger. And that's part of what a dilation is. And as this k number, the slider goes the other direction and it gets smaller, we notice that the image always grows smaller. I'm going to point out, I went ahead and I looked at, let's scoot this over here for a second. I looked at this, and I wanted you to notice that if you actually click on these dots, go ahead and click on it, you'll see that the ordered pair, the coordinates of that dot will pop up. And that's really helpful. Go into each one of these as you're moving that slider around, so that you can see the coordinates that are popping up. And then imagine this line coming across, and notice how if this is a 1, 3, this is a 3, 9. And what do you notice is happening? And what you should see is like, oh, well, how much bigger is it? And I noticed we went from a 1 to a 3 and a 3 to the 9. It's actually getting 3 times bigger. Does that work with all of them? So if I went from here, and again, if you click on this dot, Desmos will pull up what the ordered pair is, and we're going from a 2, 1 to a 6, 3. And we're like, yeah, each of those numbers are getting 3 times bigger. And we'll notice the same thing with this last one, is that it goes from a 3-1 to a 12-3. And each time what we're doing is we're multiplying by 3. That's what this shape is doing. All right. So the very last thing is they want you to change the blue triangle. Notice how I went and I completely changed the shape of it. And this is fun. Spend some time completely coming up with different looking things and watch what happens to this red triangle. Thinking back at this here, what we see happening is that continuing to take place. And then also mess with the slider and look at the shape of this, because what we've done is we have explained to you what a dilation is. So what I want you to do now in that last slide, the next slide they have, is say, explain to me what a dilation is. And in your own words, just tell me what you know. And that's it for the assignment. It gives you a feel for what a dilation is. And I would just like you to go ahead and put it into words for me. All right, thank you. Good introduction to dilations.